Right now, we are cutting in with that breaking news once again out of Broomfield. An active shooting situation at the Arista Flats apartment on Central Court near the First Bank Center.
A shelter in place has been in place for residents that are living in that area for the past couple of hours. We're waiting for Broomfield Police to hold a news conference. We know that has now been pushed back to 10:30.
Yeah, we're still following that breaking news. We want to get out to Brianna Fernandez. She has been on the ground for us this morning. Brianna, what more have you learned? We understand that there's more activity happening in that area now.
Yeah, so we were not far from this intersection. We were actually at that corner, and we moved because we noticed an armored vehicle with SWAT members going through this area. So I just want to show you what that area looks like. We're seeing a Broomfield police officer. You guys, when they were coming through here, we heard a loud bang followed by gunshots, several gunshots. Now we know our Anusha Roy, she is actually on the other side of this building, and she said 2 stretchers came out. Now it's hard to tell where that building is and where SWAT members were located because that tree is blocking the building. But what we know so far is that there is a stretcher. They used a ladder. We know SWAT members used a ladder to get up. It looks like it's the 2nd floor where they were focusing their investigation. And like you guys mentioned, that media briefing has been pushed back. Broomfield Police said that this is still a fluid situation, a fluid investigation. So there's still a lot of questions of what exactly happened after that loud bang and those gunshots. It's still unclear. Broomfield Police is trying to work their best to get all the information out to us, but this is still an active investigation, an active shooting investigation, and there's still a shelter in place. People have been being asked to evacuate this area, especially those folks who were living in this apartment, who live in this apartment. We saw several of them just walk through this area, and that's because SWAT members had to come through here. Broomfield Police has been telling us, do not go through this area. This is as close as you can get. And that's because of the several gunshots that we heard just behind this building. For now, I'm live here in Broomfield. Brianna Fernandez for 9 News. I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
Brianna, can I ask you real quick, does it seem like since the stretchers came out and the ambulances left and the armored vehicle came in, that things have calmed down a little bit?
You know, I haven't seen the SWAT members leave this area, so my guess is that they left on the other side where our Anusha Roy is located. We did hear sirens. We did hear the ambulance come through this area. Since that happened about 10 minutes ago, it's been much quieter. Now, we're still waiting to hear more information, but we haven't seen that armored vehicle that I saw just a couple of minutes ago or the SWAT members. So we're still waiting to hear from Broomfield Police.
All right, Brianna, and speaking of Anusha, we're working on chatting with her in just a bit to learn more of what she's seeing there on the ground. Right now, we want to go to Nate Lynn. He's one of our producers back here. He actually was one of the people that alerted us to this happening earlier this morning. Nate, what are you seeing as far as what Brianna was just describing with, it sounds like more happening right now?
Yeah, I was able to hear what Brianna described. I heard an explosion, a very loud bang. And then immediately after that, I heard 2 more bursts of gunfire. Quite a few shots were fired, and then nothing after that. But I had my back door open, so I was able to hear everything pretty well.
And I know that you were saying you live in the Arista Flats apartments, but you're kind of at an angle where you can't see all of the vehicles, all of the first responder vehicles down there. But did you hear ambulances leave the area right after that happened?
No, I didn't. I couldn't honestly say that I heard anything that sounded like that. But yeah, the last thing I heard was just the explosion and the gunfire.
And have you received any other further notification on your phone about the shelter in place?
I received the initial one at about 7:20 this morning, and then another one maybe 20 minutes ago or so, but nothing since then.
Okay.
All right, Nate, thank you very much. We'll check back in with you if more happens. Right now, we do want to get to our Anusha Roy on the ground as well. You just heard Brianna kind of describing some of what Anusha has been seeing out there. Anusha, can you talk to us a little bit more and elaborate on what you have seen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're basically one block down and closer to the building that's been the focus of all of that activity. I've been talking to neighbors who've been standing out here. We've been watching firefighters and officers go in and out of that middle apartment building back there. It was around 9:45 when we first heard a really loud flashbang and then multiple rounds of shots fired. We saw a firefighter go in with ladders, then we saw them go in with one stretcher. They went out with a second stretcher. We just saw two of those stretchers come back out. There were multiple ambulances here that then pulled out as well. I'd say in the last 10 or 15 minutes. There's still a lot of officers. You can see SWAT teams and firefighters out here as well. Throughout the morning, I've been just chatting with folks who said it was around 7:30 this morning. They were getting their kids ready, getting their morning started. Some were still sleeping when they heard that initial round of gunshots this morning. Talked to a dad with 5 kids who said he was just doing his little girl's hair and then heard that pop, pop, pop and knew something was happening in the apartment complex. They looked out at this park, saw another kid standing out there. We're talking 7:30 in the morning that basically dove when they heard those initial shots that were fired. It was pretty quiet when after all of the officers got here, but then they started hearing them talk to someone, telling them to put their gun down. That was around 9 o'clock this morning. Then 45 minutes later, in between, pretty quiet. Again, we heard that flashbang, multiple shots fired, and then a lot of activity with those ambulance pulling out and with some firefighters going in and out of that area. Again, we're hoping to get some more clarity on exactly where things stand. We've been talking to North Metro Fire, who says there's been a lot of moving parts, so they're just trying to make sure that they get us the most up-to-date information. Of course, we'll share that with you as we learn more as well.
I want to clarify with you really quickly, as you're talking about those stretchers and you're seeing some of them come out, has only one person been brought out on a stretcher, or have you seen more?
I have seen 2 stretchers being pulled out. Honestly, Jordan and Corey, I'm a little bit far back, so I don't want to say who or what I saw on that stretcher itself. I didn't have the best vantage point at that point as it was happening. It all happened within, I would say, a couple of minutes, and I'm hoping to clarify that with investigators as we're getting ready for this press conference.
Understand.
And
there's a pretty big crowd out here right now. But we are kind of pushed back away.
And so you were saying maybe 2 stretchers loaded into an ambulance and the ambulance is left. Did they leave with lights and sirens?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they did. I mean, it was immediate. They came out. We saw the lights on, the sirens on, the officers pulling out of the way so that they had clearance to leave the neighborhood. And since then, we haven't seen anything else. Not a lot.
All right, we're having a little technical. Anusha, can you just repeat that one more time? Unfortunately, it cut you off.
Oh, yeah, just about that last point. Yeah, so Corey was asking me about like what I saw. The ambulances did leave with their lights on, with the sirens going. We saw police kind of move out of the way to like remove the road closure right behind me so that they could pull out of that neighborhood. Ever since then, what you're seeing behind me is basically the activity we've been seeing since 9:45.
And it's really interesting, Anusha, and you could probably tell us a little bit more about this, but earlier when we were talking to Aaron, who's a resident in the building, and Brianna, they were saying, we were seeing SWAT and police running up and down the streets, the armored vehicle, they had guns, and it seems like, at least from what we're seeing behind you, things have calmed down a little bit.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. We've been here for about the last hour or so, and in between those key moments as this has been unfolding, it has been like this. It has been quiet. We've had people just kind of chit-chatting and trying to share what they saw or how they woke up this morning until you hear that next flurry of activity. But in between, it's been calm. And again, after that last flashbang, after that last round of shots, it's quieted back down.
Well, it is a good time to remind everybody, as she talks about those crowds out there, there is a shelter in place that is still in order from the Broomfield Police Department. They have put out those alerts. If you are not getting those alerts, they are asking you to sign up online right now. Yeah, and that's a really good reminder. Anusha, thank you so much for the update. That's a really good reminder, because we know that Aaron, the resident that we spoke to, he didn't get one initially, and then he signed up and then he got one. So you really do want to make sure that you are signed up for those alerts for your area. Again, initially there was going to be a 10 o'clock press conference. Because this all unfolded just about 10-15 minutes ago, they have pushed that now to 10:30. Yeah, and we'll bring you that latest information, of course, once that gets in. We'll stream that also on 9 News Plus. Right now, though, we want to turn you to your regular programming.